Okay, let's do a review on the newest Marvel Champions hero, Gambit. Hello and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. Today we're doing a deep dive into Gambit, the card-slinging hero that FFG just put out, where he throws cards, he charges the cards, and then he wins. He is an incredibly fun hero. I'm going to stop playing with cards, else I'm just going to get distracted the entire game. But this hero is so much fun. I'm excited to talk about him. I think he's a really powerful hero too, and he's so incredibly diverse. And that's my favorite part about him. But let's talk about Gambit. In his alter ego form, I think Remy has one of the coolest alter ego kits in the entire game. He has thwarting in his alter ego, which we have seen before as far back as the core set with She-Hulk. However, I think Remy does it just significantly better. His Thief Extraordinaire ability says to exhaust Remy and discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. You discard one of those cards and remove threat equal to the number of printed boost icons on that card. This is really cool. I think it helps manage around 2 threat per activation, which is right in line with, a 2 thwart hero. But it's even better because you get to set the boost card or the next card coming off that encounter deck. So if you know you're about to deck out, you can deal yourself something that's not as bad, or you can set your boost icons to be really low to make sure you're not going to be taking damage or you're not going to be scheming out. That's probably the strongest piece of the Thief Extraordinaire ability. This also combos with one of his supports called the Thieves Guild. This says that after you use that Thief Extraordinaire ability, exhaust the Thieves Guild and remove 1 threat from a scheme. It does not have to be the same scheme. It can be any scheme on the board, and if it removes the last threat, then you get to draw a card. So now we're starting to build this engine. You can remove threat, you can time out the different boost icons, clear threat on the board, and if you don't, use the Thieves Guild to clear even more threat, or clear that last threat and get to draw a card. So powerful. And we're not even done with his alter ego stuff. Creel Charmer is one of his alter ego event cards. That's another thwart card in alter ego. It's completely changing the meta from what Marvel Champions has seen before. Pretty much all threat mitigation is done in hero form, whereas Remy does it all in alter ego form, which is really cool. It's a nice change of pace. The Creel Charmer says it's a 2-cost event card that removes 3 threat, and if it removes the last threat, then you get to confuse the enemy. So confuse in the hero kit, very strong, and also you can set it up so successfully. If you have threat on the board, you can utilize his Thief Extraordinaire ability to set you up for a Creel Charmer. You can combo that off with the Thieves Guild. There's just so many cool little puzzle pieces, and the timing of everything is just a very fun logical puzzle to figure out, and I have been having so much fun with it. But we'll talk about a little bit more of his alter ego when we get to the basic cards. Let's flip that card over and talk about his hero side. Now, I said that he had one of the coolest alter ego abilities in the game. I think he has one of the cooler hero abilities in the game too. I don't know if you can tell by my excitement, but I think Gambit may be one of my favorite heroes in Marvel Champions. He just has so much to offer. But he has 2 abilities on his hero side. He has Charge to Card, where you place a charge counter on Gambit, and then Throw to Card, which is an interrupt saying that whenever you play an attack event, where you can remove up to 3 of those charge counters, and that attack event deals an additional damage for each charge counter removed. So much flexibility. So this can work with multiple instances of attack. So if you are running a melee, this now can become a 6/6. We'll talk about more multiple instance attack cards when we talk about aggression for Gambit, but the amount of flexibility and the amount of cards that this manipulates is incredible. It is so cool and opens up some strategies that I have not looked at in a long time. Let's talk about his kit cards. He has a really strong kit. So outside of the alter ego stuff we've already talked about, Molecular Acceleration is a double resource card that he has. He has 2 of these. It's a physical and an energy charge counter, and whenever you spend it, if you're in hero form, then you get a charge counter to place on Gambit. So gives you another charge counter. It's pretty easy to build up those charge counters, which is excellent for his signature ally, who is Rogue, a 4-cost ally with a 2/2/3 and toughness. Pretty good stat line, but incredible when you take into account her ability, which you discount her cost by 1 for each charge counter on Gambit, or on your identity, so you can be an alter ego and still play Rogue. So it has been very easy to build up 4 charge counters and get Rogue for free, and Rogue coming in with toughness, a 2/2 stat line, and 3 health for free is so good. So good. And typically, you know, I'm throwing that out there. It depends on what style I'm playing, but Gambit with his 3 defense can take hits, and so you can utilize Rogue for 4 activations. That's 8 threat, which can offset his low thwart potential in hero form, but Rogue is just as versatile as Gambit, and it's so cool. It's so cool. He has 2 attack events that do combo pretty well with that throw to card ability. His charge card, which is a 2-cost 4 damage card, and it has the ability that if you remove a counter, 1 counter against range, 2 counters against piercing, 3 counters against overkill. So this 2-cost 4 damage card can become a 2-cost 7 damage card with overkill, piercing, and ranged for 3 counters. This helps him so much with minion control. Also, getting around some of those like retaliates, or if, you know, tough status cards, piercing, knock it off. Charge card is incredibly versatile, and I do like it more than his other attack card, which is Royal Flush. This is a 3-cost card that says you get a charge counter, and now, real quick rules clarification, you cannot use the charge counter generated by Royal Flush to impact Royal Flush. Because your ability is an interrupt, whenever you pay for the card, you need to use the interrupt ability at that point. So you can spend up to 3 counters, and then the Royal Flush gives you basically a rebate of 1 counter. So a little weird timing, but that's fine. And this is a 3-cost card that says deal 0 damage, deal 0 damage, deal 0 damage. Sounds really bad until you realize that if you remove 3 counters, it's 3/3/3. So it's a 3 for 9, but it's even more flexible than that because it's not just at one target. You can spread it out. You can kill minion, you can throw it all at the villain. Again, Gambit's strength is in his flexibility, and he has a lot of it. He has a defense card called Natural Agility, which is one of the better defense cards in the game, I think, in my opinion. And it's a 0-cost defense card that says whenever you defend against an attack, so you do have to be defending, then you can play this as an interrupt, you get a charge counter, and then you get plus X defense, where X is the number of charge counters on you. Because it's so easy to build up, this is pretty much, you're defending for 8, 10. You're never taking damage, right? It combos with his guild armor, which allows him to ready, and Gambit's protection game, Gambit's defense game, even outside of protection, is so cool. Oh my gosh. I feel like a crazy fan right now. I'm just like, ugh, I love Gambit. Okay, anyways. Let's talk about some of the basic cards that Gambit really likes to throw in his kit. All of the X-Men Alter Ego cards are always in play for him because he does like to be flipping every turn, every other turn. Just so much of his kit is in that Alter Ego side. And so wanting to flip down to, you know, access that part of your kit means that all of the Alter Ego supports that the X-Men have, you're going to like. He also comes with a couple of other cards, or maybe they came in Rogue, I actually don't really know. But Moira is a really strong card. Moira says that whenever a mutant flips back to their hero side, you get to draw a card. Because you're flipping so frequently with Gambit, Moira is pretty much an auto-include in most of my Gambit decks. And then also X-Mansion and Mutant Education combo really well for Gambit. So Mutant Education says you can shuffle up to 2 cards, 2 identity-specific cards from your discard pile into your deck, and then if X-Mansion is in play, you get to draw a card. This works so well to get some of those Royal Flushes or whatever card you need, your Molecular Accelerations, Rogue even, or just pretty much any card from his kit is going to be an excellent target for Mutant Education. And because you're flipping down so frequently, once you have X-Mansion into play, you can just set your hand. And that, again, leads to the flexibility of the game it has. Really cool stuff. Okay, so let's rank the aspects. We're going to rank these in terms of worst to best, and then once I get to my favorite aspect, I will call that out. We'll talk a little bit about that. But what I will say is Gambit is very, very strong and plays differently in each one of these aspects. So just because I'm going to say one of these is the least good does not mean that is not incredibly powerful. Yeah. So leadership, I think, is the worst, and it's not necessarily bad at all. It just doesn't have a ton of options to combo with his hero ability, and so you're not running a ton of attack events that are blue, and so you're kind of relying on your kit cards, which is not a bad thing. Leadership has the ability with like Kalu and Strength in Numbers to draw into your kit cards, which are so very strong. So leadership is really cool, but there's just less targets for your throw to card ability. And leadership is just leadership. One of the things that I have really enjoyed with the blue aspect is recurring Beast. So Beast allows you, whenever he enters play, to go grab a a resource card, and whenever I do that, I'm grabbing the molecular acceleration, which allows me to combo and get a lot of those charge counters pretty quickly, so that whenever I do run into a attack event, I have the charge counters ready to go and then throw them at whatever needs to be taken care of that round. Up next, we have Justice, and Justice is kind of interesting because in hero form, Gambit cannot thwart. Gambit has a 1 thwart on his hero card, and he has no cards in his kit that allow him to remove threats based when he's in hero form. So that means that he has to be in alter ego form. Justice can offset that, but what I found, especially in a solo setting, is that you don't really need more threat mitigation than what his alter ego support has. That being said, Confuse the Lock from Justice is very strong. Now that we have cards like in his kit Creole Charmer and cards outside of his kit, so like Sonic Rifle or Dazzler, Professor X, pretty much any of the cards that confuse get really, really powerful because you can flip down, manage threats, and then also just deal damage with like Scare Tactics and Swift Retribution, and that gives you a lot of damage. It's also another target for the Throw to Card ability. So Scare Tactics becomes a 1 for 6 card if you use the 3 counters on a confused enemy, and if you're running Justice, what I found is that I almost had too much confused in my kit. It got pretty easy to never let anything on the table not be confused, and so it's a really strong ability. So the final 2, I honestly do not know which one is better. I've tried to figure this out. I don't know which one of these is better, and I've come down to it's really just matchup dependent and how you want to play Gambit. Both of these are incredibly powerful, and we'll go into each reasons why. I will say, I know there are going to be people, and I am one of those people that needs to have order and wants to rank them. I'm going to say aggression is second best. This is also my favorite way to play. Let's talk about why that is, because I feel like a lot of people think that aggression is best, but we'll talk about reasons why, but I do think protection may edge it out a little bit. But aggression is my favorite way to play because of the multiple attacks that it has. And that just combos so very well with the throw to card ability. So cards like melee or 1x1, where they do 2 damage to an enemy, and if it defeats an enemy, it deals 2 more damage to an enemy. If you throw 3 counters on that, it's a 1 for 5 and 5. Or if it's a melee, it becomes a 3 for 6 and 6. Now, start comboing that with everything else that aggression has to offer with your aggressive energy resource cards or like a warrior skill, and you can really start making these cards do some incredible stuff. And if you want to get absolutely insane, top it off with a Hone Technique, and then you can get some crazy math. Melee now becomes like an 11-11, which is dumb. It's really dumb. And then even outside of the multiple attacks, you can get cards like Precision Strike that have an ability if you defeat an enemy. Precision Strike is a 1-cost event that says deal 2 damage. Now if you are Hone Techniquing this Precision Strike, it becomes 3. Charge counters makes it a 6. Aggressive energy makes it a 7, and then warrior skill makes it an 8, so it's a 1 for 8, and if it defeats an enemy, then you get to heal 2 damage from your hero. And so there's just a lot of really cool combos that aggression has to offer. Being the attack aspect that it is, there's just so many cool combos that can trigger off that throw to card ability and makes it a really satisfying gameplay experience. Now, I think protection eases it out just a little bit, and I am also kind of contemplating life as I sit here and tell you that protection is not my favorite way to play Gambit, especially because he has that 3 defense. He has a ready in his kit with his guild armor, which is incredibly strong. And I don't know why I don't like protection as much as aggression. For some reason, aggression feels a little bit more fresh to me, and maybe that's why I enjoy it a little bit more. But protection, I think, is more consistent than aggression. So protection, he is set up to be a perfect defender from basically turn 1. That 3 defense, armored vest makes it a 4 defense. With that 4 defense, that can pretty much guarantee a perfect defend without any other pieces of protection, but you throw in more pieces, energy barriers, all your defense events, everything that can prevent damage, then you are almost always going to be perfect defending. And that is so strong, especially with the guild armor. So you're able to defend for 4 with the armored vest, probably 6 with like a defense event, or if you're playing natural agility, you're going to be defending for 15 and it doesn't matter. But that then gets you the ready, and I think that is very, very powerful. I'm laughing because my next point that I want to talk about is Powerful Punch. So there are interrupts in protection, so like Powerful Punch and First Hit are also targets for his throw to card ability. Since these are interrupts, you can kill a minion or the villain before they actually activate, and maybe even get you a win or take out that nasty minion before they're able to hit you. And then you just have ways to pull that natural agility card with like Jocasta, and the flow like water strategy is just very, very strong with protection. And just out of the get-go, without building, if you have someone that's throwing a lot at you, protection has, I think, more consistency than aggression. That being said, it is matchup dependent. So if you're going up against something with 900 minions, you're going up against Mutagen Formula, aggression is going to be better. If you're going up against someone that does not have a ton of minions and hits like a truck like Thanos, protection is going to be better. It's all just kind of relative at this point, and both of them are very, very strong. The community had the same order with protection and aggression flipped, and totally see that argument. Totally agree. I guess I don't totally agree, but like, I get it. It's they're both very, very good. And then the community also ranked him in A tier, and here I will agree with him. I'm gonna rank him as an A tier, and I'm gonna echo what Daniel Craig said, that if you're talking about fun, he's an S++ tier. One of my favorite heroes in Marvel Champions. Now, he's so incredibly fun to play. I'm putting him as power level in A tier between Cyclops and Gamora. So he is really powerful. He has a lot of different playstyles that all feel very unique. You don't need to feel hindered if you're ignoring the alter ego side, because if you have other ways to manage threat, say you're playing a protection and you're always staying up, you have ways to manage threat with like Not Today and Hard to Ignore, and you don't necessarily feel super cheated that you're not leaning into that part of his kit. Or if you're not ever defending, you don't feel cheated that you're not ever defending. Based on how you want to play Gambit, it doesn't feel like he's ever hindered. You can lean very heavy into one or the other, or diversify, and he's going to be incredibly strong and fun. And I think maybe Gambit's biggest weakness is his lack of thwarting on his hero side. He only has that one thwart and no hero cards to allow him to thwart in hero. However, with the Creole Charmer, with his Thief Extraordinaire alter ability to manage threat, flip down, then you're probably going to be fine. Maybe on things with like lower scheme thresholds, he's going to struggle, but outside of that, Gambit is a ton of fun to play. He is going to be a hero that continues to get more exciting as we get more and more attack events, and he will be consistently evolving as the game of Marvel Champions continues to expand their card pool, and I am so very looking forward to that. Anyways, thank you all so very much for hanging out. I am super excited about Gambit. I cannot wait to play him more. I have played him a lot in solo. I've played him a couple times in multiplayer. He is incredibly fun in both. I hope you enjoy him as much as I do. Please let me know what you like about Gambit. What's your favorite aspect to run? What's your favorite card that in his kit? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about this card slinger, because he is so freaking cool. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you around, and have a good time playing some Marvel Champions. Peace.